Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma. I'm joined by my colleague here to my side, Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, at this time, I have a public service announcement to everyone who happen to have found us wherever you may listen to podcasts, including the popular Apple Podcasts, or viewing the video here on YouTube. And that important message is that this is a podcast geared for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So if you happen to be visiting here from the Cleveland Browns and you drop in our mentions, just know what's coming.
Get the F out. Just get the F out.
As I got some things to say. I put the Festivus poll away, not the rest of my festive stuff around the place, but as you can see, I've got the towel up over here still. But Brian, you've got the hat. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Same to you. And to everyone else out there.
It's not really an unhappy New Year to me. The Steelers already won the AFC North. They were already in the playoffs. We pretty much already knew they were a 3 seed and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm still a little ticked off about this game. Just a smidge. But I saw some good stuff too. But before we get into that, man, I hope your New Year's well, and how you doing otherwise? How do you feel?
I feel fine. I actually feel like I got more out of this game than I expected to get, so that's a good thing. I'm still annoyed AF, as they say. But that's just natural. There's reasons. Yes, the refs stink, but put
it lightly.
To put it lightly. But I think the new slogan has got to be "Holding is a myth," because it's a myth. Apparently, it doesn't really exist.
What's holding?
I don't know. It's nothing. Apparently, that's what it is.
It's
nothing.
Is that a new concept? Are they going to have to create like something like a rule so players can't do that next year? Like because I think it's almost kind of like cheating, and it shouldn't be permitted.
But it shouldn't be permitted. But apparently, it is. Especially if you're playing the Steelers. But I had a lovely New Year's. I was in bed by 9:30. I don't bother. I don't need to stay up and watch a big ball drop and all that crap. And I don't do the alcohol, so I went to bed.
I did. I still made it though. I went the distance. I was actually pretty wired and went the distance the next day too. So because I slept in so darn long on New Year's Day, so to follow that up and. On count of all the things and all the busyness, I didn't stay up and binge watch like Cobra Kai yet, but I'm getting there. I'm about halfway.
Just started watching.
You've never seen it before?
Finished the first season. I'm watching the second season, and the argument that occurs about Cobra Kai is, I want to like one of them like more than I like the other one, and right now I don't. They both are kind of.
No. That's the beauty of the program. Without spoiling
I don't like shows like that. I want to root for somebody.
It's right down the middle, man. It'll make you it's a love-hate either way. It really plays with your sympathies toward things. Kind of the way I feel with the Cleveland Browns. I'd heard coming into this game. I had spoke to a family member and. Their thing was first thing, never on Sunday morning do I get this call, but I think they were calling thinking I was driving on my way up to Cleveland, of which I forfeited my opportunity to do that. And as you can see, the Mason Rudolph jersey is on. Joe Hayden landed on the COVID list and was not participating in this game, that's my usual go-to, is to wear the white Joe Hayden jersey. Last year I wore it right into a Browns bar that was around here locally. I don't care if I needle them a little bit. I'm going to needle those fans a little more. The way this game ended, I guarantee you the guys that sat at home, based on our recommendation, of course, Brian, once again validated by saying don't even travel Big Ben, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Marquise Pouncey, sit them at home, no risk. They just see this guy celebrate like a little juvenile toddler, like they had just won the Super Bowl by the skin of their teeth by 2 points. against the Steelers. I don't even want to call this the Steelers JV team. I guess there's guys that are on the active roster there, but they were going pretty deep here. But I have a lot of promising things that I saw here in this game, and let's first of all, which was not Jerome Boger, the referee and his crew, and I kind of figured that going in, but
I'm calling him Booger. I'm just naming him Booger. Forget it.
The most annoying thing was seeing some of the comments on social media, particularly the interwebs, and the way people were just trashing Mason Rudolph or the team. I actually saw people say that Mike Tomlin needed fired because they were seeing the Ravens and the Bills the Dolphins definitely did not belong in the playoff picture after that fiasco of a game that they just played. What was that final score? 56. Hold on.
Might cost Brian
26.
Flores the coach of the year.
Oh man, and you know what? He did such a great job, and they had a better defense going. I don't like they're like, well, what about the momentum that Buffalo's got going? Well, that's all fine and dandy until Josh Allen goes out there and then has a high ankle sprain or something like that. So that's you're rolling the dice, and you don't need to roll the dice with Ben Roethlisberger having a gimpy knee or a noodle elbow or whatever other things you want to say here. So Baltimore, of course, beating up on the Bengals, and the Steelers didn't get their job done there in Cincinnati as they should have. But Baltimore was pretty banged up and down on their luck and kind of sneaks in the back door there. But the Browns definitely sneak in here, and there's two trains of thought here. It was you could put the Browns away right now, and they don't go to the postseason. You shatter all the hopes and dreams for yet one more year for the Cleveland fans. Or you don't go full force all out on this game, even though there was some all-in plays where the Steelers weren't playing to lose necessarily. And then you may end up in a rematch, and that's where we're at right now. And if I were Cleveland, you're happy right now. That's got to all get washed away because this upcoming weekend, now you got to go to the other guy's place and try and do this again with them at full strength. And I wouldn't feel so good about it based on the way they played today.
Yeah, look, I don't fault the Browns for celebrating and having a great time. They haven't been in the playoffs, in my lifetime, and that's a long time. So
wait a minute though. They won like a bunch of NFL and some other defunct league championships. They've won more championships.
They've been in the playoffs in my lifetime.
Well, men were at war, doing other things when the Steelers and Eagles combined for this to be the same. Yes, I'm being a little facetious, but yeah.
So I don't fault them for being happy that they made it, regardless of the fact that they beat a team that really wasn't at clearly wasn't at full strength. It didn't even bring a potential defensive player of the year. Not even potential. He should win it. Although, I want to talk about a bone to pick. I am so sick and tired of people talking about Xavier Howard and just shut up with that crap. Get the hell out of my face. I don't care. 10 interceptions, yes, it's very impressive. But you know what? He leads the league in one thing. TJ Watt leads the league in like 700 things. Go away.
For back-to-back years, too, practically. So
do it more than once. Anyway, if you lose that out to a cornerback again, I'm going to be annoyed. I'm just saying. I'm gonna go to New York and I'm going to burn down the NFL. Anyway.
You don't say.
I'm annoyed. It's not that far from me. I could do it.
Just let me know when that is so I can record a podcast and have an alibi.
Yeah, I understand. Anyway, the point is I don't fault them for celebrating their victory because it is a big deal for them. They got in. It clinches the playoff berth. Yes, they should be happy they clinched a playoff berth. Yes, there should also be somewhat of a little bit of a one of those little nasty Lugers in the back of your throat about it as well. That little acidy taste of like, yeah, we barely got in and we barely beat guys who we won't be seeing next week because the starters will be back. But they made it, so it's great. And look, I've been saying it all year. I don't take this team lightly. I don't take the Browns lightly. It's a good team. They can run the ball. They can do certain things. Do I think that the Steelers should beat them next week? Of course I do. But we'll get into that at another time. It is what it is. As I said, I got more out of this game than I expected. I thought the first drive, I was like, oh God, this is going to be painful to watch. And they tightened things up. They did a good job. They threw some wrinkles in that I thought were interesting, even though I don't know that they'll make it into the next game, but they might. And they did some things that I thought were very encouraging. I was glad. Look, and I tweeted this out. I'm not a big Mason Rudolph fan. I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. I still don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. But he played well. He did a good job in this game, other than the one stupid throw.
Speaking to my good ear, somewhat of a stupid throw, and we'll talk about that too. Throw. You're trying to make things that happen, but when you also,
but Ben makes those throws too. So I'm not even going to beat him up over that. He got out of once they started getting him out of the pocket, so he didn't look like a statue in the pocket. And he moved around a little bit. Do I think his balls are perfect? Well, I'm not going to go down that road. But
I don't know that. What do you think about his balls, Brian?
I think nothing. I never have thought about his balls once, and I'm not going to think about them now.
Footballs. Get your mind out together, folks.
I'm just going to say this. I was pleased with what I saw, and what I saw makes me feel the same way I felt in the past. This is a guy who can be a perfectly legitimate backup quarterback in the league, period.
Rewind that. Here's a guy, the old Chris Collinsworth. Well, up until that throw, he was actually outplaying Baker Mayfield. In fact, the same amount of attempts, but he completed more passes for more yards, had a better QB rating at that point, and still a pretty solid game for Mason Rudolph. 22 of 39, 315 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and the ill-fated interception. Let's talk about these lineups. Brian, one of the guys that I've been getting behind, Kevin Rader out of Youngstown State, gets a start in this game out of a 2 tight end set with Vance McDonald in there. You have not the usual suspects, Alejandro Villanueva and Kevin Dotson, J.C. Hassenauer, who I continue to have a bone to pick with him and Villy, David DeCastro and Chuk Okorafor, and then you have Chase Claypool, James Conner, and Mason Rudolph under center, no less. And I'm like, this is a run play. And it was a run play, but there were plays from under center that were not run plays. There was the jet sweep that they should just completely throw in the garbage can. Metal one, hopefully. We don't want to melt plastic when we burn that play out of the page of the playbook. Let's just get rid of it once and for all. It was just annoying the hell out of me. On defense, Chris Wormley in place of the grown-ass man Cam Hayward, Tyson Alu, Stephon Tuitt, Ola Adnei, who saw quite a bit. I can't wait to see the snap counts on that. J. Roan Elliott played a lot of time, and I'm not sure if Ola got a little banged up or what, but number 45, I had to blink. It's not Rosie Nix out there. Paired with Alex Highsmith, who had a very promising game, probably got cheated out of a sack or two as well via holding or some other. Doesn't exist. Yeah, absolutely. He had a heck of a spin move on that one, and I think Tuitt ends up getting the credit on that sack. And Tuitt, man, double-digit guy this year, flying under the radar. Color commentary, Charles Davis doesn't believe that anything's pass interference either, so we could just toss that in there. He's like, he maybe got there a little early. It's like, how early are we talking about? Are we talking about dominoes and under 30 minutes early, or flying to the ball? Or are we talking about just at the very last second? I don't think that was a blink. A couple of those were definitely not blink of the eye things, and that's where some fans can definitely rest their hat. Avery Williamson and Vince Williams paired there as the inside linebackers. It looked like a formidable duo.
Was Vince hurt?
I don't believe so. Tomlin said no significant injuries in this game.
Okay, good.
So Sean Davis gets a start at safety in place of Terrell Edmonds. And they have him listed here as left corner, which is incorrect. Cam Sutton was the other corner with Steve Nelson, Minka Fitzpatrick, of course, dotting the I in that secondary at times. So he got to roam around. I kind of felt right out the gate, the very first play, and I can't wait to go over this whole first half deal, but the 47-yard run that starts. So the Steelers get the ball. We won't hash out every single one of these as we normally do. I don't feel they need to, but a little uncharacteristic by their offense. They don't go 3 and out. Quite amazing. It's amazing. And it's a 13-yard connection from Mason Rudolph to Chase Claypool after running the ball twice. Not once, They get 2 yards on the first one, Brian. They said, darn it, we can do better. And they get double on second down. That's quite amazing. Already I'm going through all the plays, but I don't mean to. They get a first down, but they can't connect. Mason Rudolph tried to get James Conner involved, a couple short passes here, a little bit of butterfingers from him. Also, Vance McDonald, a scary one that skips up later on in the game and could have been picked. He doesn't connect with Juju Smith-Schuster on another a little bit. Not necessarily a short punt. Jordan Berry trying to pin him. Cleveland starts at their 15. Yada, yada, yada. The ball gets around here. They get a first down, and then on a first and 10, right around midfield, 47-yard run by Nick Chubb, where Sean Davis gets completely washed out of the play, playing up near the line of scrimmage, and then Minka's trying to come in some sort of relief. Vince Williams is not the side-to-side speed guy like a Devin Bush or a Ryan Shazier was, and Nick Chubb is not a slow guy. So it's off to the races. Somebody said they're trying to blame it on Fitzpatrick, arm tackle, whatever.
No.
Number one, don't kill yourself. This game for the Steelers did not mean anywhere near as much as it did for the Cleveland Browns. But you're like, man, this doesn't look good. I hope it's not like this all day long. And if you take out that 47-yard run, you have Nick Chubb with 108. That minus the 47, 14 for 108, but you take out the 47, and he goes for 61 yards. He's still in the 4.6 range. They're going to have to clean that up a little bit, but considering some of the staff, so to speak, that they had out there, I'll take it. And, of course, Kareem Hunt goes out there and does 10 for 37. Mayfield got a huge chunk on a play later on. We can say there was maybe some holding.
There could have been some of that mythical thing in there, yes.
Was it Bugsy, Isaiah Buggs, or was it Henry Mondow? Both at one point.
Both, all of them, every player.
When you take this much of the jersey and you make this from the sleeve to the neck into a tank top or bikini strap going over your shoulder, it's holding. It's holding. And there was the one, I think, on particularly Mondow. He tried to get away and his arm was like pinned back. And, I don't see a player make a natural motion with his arm and like he's, unless they score a touchdown, this might be natural, Brian. But anyways, it's 7-0. Steelers offense, 3 and out. And you're like, well, crap. What's going to go on here? And the Browns have a little bit of a lengthy, they get a little bit of a better possession here, a little bit longer of a possession. They run 8 plays, 35 yards, but they end up having to punt. The Steelers on their first 3 possessions are punt, and punt. And then they don't get much else through the rest of the half. The Browns get another field goal. And then the Steelers force a punt and turnover on downs with them. The turnover on downs, of course, just throwing it away to kill halftime, make sure the Steelers don't get the ball back.
Oh, yeah. They
got 2 field goals here. Let me see what the drives were. We had 11 plays, 66 yards. And this was almost all shotgun stuff, but you had a mix of Anthony McFarland and James Conner running around all over the place. Some of it's short yards, loss of yards. But I think the big thing that we saw, and you mentioned a wrinkle was, and I just discovered this like minutes before kickoff because in the pregame, Evan Washburn, sideline reporter for CBS assigned to this game, had mentioned they showed Josh Dobbs warming up on the sideline and said that he may be in on some special offensive packages. And I was like, whoa, that's not something I was expecting them to toss in to the mixer there. And I like the wrinkle. I like the idea or the concept of the wrinkle. I don't necessarily like the execution because these little toss plays, the first 2 were for a -3 yards on these almost pseudo jet sweeps. And it's just like, okay, just scrap this whole thing. Dobbs didn't really throw it at any point. He did have a nice little hide the peanut type thing and bootlegged out that worked. And there was another RPO play ran that worked pretty well. And I can't fault any of that. I thought that was okay. But there's a spot here. I think it's here on this first drive where it's 1st and 10. There was just a 41-yard Mason Rudolph to Deontay Johnson pass completion. And, of course, after the Rudolph has this successful play, and he's riding a high. Let's take him out and put Josh Dobbs in for 2 plays. Now, he did run around for 13 yards, and then that was another one that went to Ray McLeod that went nowhere. And when you see Ray on the field and you start to see him motion, I think everybody's seen that on film. It's pretty obvious what may end up happening. Now let's bring Rudolph back in for a 2nd and 10 and a 3rd and 9, and he only gets like 1-yard completion to James Conner, and then he incomplete pass to James Conner. I think that one may have fell in the dirt short or been hit at the line, or there was some contact there. So 29-yard field goal, Matt Wright. Steelers defense forces a 3 and out. You did not get the free play on the neutral zone infraction by Myles Garrett right after that. Did get a holding call on Alejandro Villanueva, who had his hands full with Garrett all afternoon. And
Garrett and anybody else that they put in front of him.
Well, that's true. That's pretty much true. And there's still some encouraging things. Rudolph was connecting some passes that this wasn't dink and dunk. They were moving chains on 1st and 2nd down and picking up some gains. We saw some James Conner running with a purpose. Benny Snell to a lesser extent. I don't think Snell had a whole lot. Let me see. I don't think he had a whole lot going on here. 3 carries, 10 yards. Yeah, that sounds about right. Rudolph takes a sack that almost put him out of field goal range here towards the end. I think he held the ball just a little too long. People were talking about his pocket awareness or whatever, and you had mentioned that too, but get the guy in some type of position where these offensive linemen, particularly Taylor on Hassenauer later in the game, and including that turnover, it was just like 3 straight plays where Hassenauer could not stop Taylor. It's just like, you don't even need a pass rush now. Just send 3 guys, and that's somewhat concerning. But the good news is that Hassenauer is not the starter, and that'll change come the playoff game, the wild card game this upcoming week. But 3rd and 13, and Josh Dobbs left end to 7 yards. They picked up a little bit that was lost on the sack. I think that was somewhat intentional, just to try and get him a little more mobile. I don't know if they had anything in the playbook for him to throw the ball at all. But I liked what I saw with Mason. He got rid of a few of them. He had one in the dirt, one to the sidelines, just got rid of the ball, didn't try to take too many sacks. I think most of his decision-making was smart. I think most of his passes were accurate, and people were still on his case when it was a 10-6 game at halftime, and I thought that was a little unfair because what I said was at the halftime here, he was actually outplaying Baker Mayfield, and the Browns stopped running the football, and you're like, well, okay, I'll take this. You know what? The Steelers, they're only down 4. They may have a chance to win this game.
Yeah, look, as I've said, I'm not the biggest Mason Rudolph fan, but at the same time, give credit where credit is due. The young man played a decent game. You can forgive some of the throws that were not on the same page. One was to Claypool on the sideways, one was to Deontay. They both just kept running, and clearly one of either Mason read the coverage differently or the receivers did. Those kind of things are going to happen, especially with a guy who hasn't played really any substantial time over the whole season. I agree. I think for the most part, his throws were crisp. His arm was fresh and live. He didn't make the worst decisions. He didn't look rattled the way we have sometimes seen him look rattled in the past. Give him credit. He played a decent game. And I'm glad for that. He had them in the game, had them in a position where they could have, maybe tied the game and maybe ended up winning the game, which is all that you can ask your backup quarterback to do. As far as the Josh Dobbs thing is, I'm thrilled with the idea. I'm thrilled with the idea of putting it out there in this game so that whoever they play down the road has to at least prepare for this as a possibility. That being said, don't do it anymore.
It reminds me of the Jalen Samuels Wildcat. And it's
exactly. It worked. It worked a little bit because everybody was like, whoa, what the hell is this? You're not. But stop, okay? Don't do that anymore because it's not going to work anymore. But at least it makes people think about it. And if you are going to do it again, let him throw the ball at least once. You got to let him throw the ball at least once. Otherwise, they just know it's always going to be a run, and there's no point in it.
Yeah, I was trying to look here. One of our guys, Eric Herman, had a good point, too. There was a 4th and 1 here earlier in the first quarter with about 7.5 minutes remaining, but it was only on the Steelers' 34, and you had just shown you just flashed the Josh Dobbs coming in for the first time on second down. Mason Rudolph has a short pass for Vance McDonald, who just misses by a yard there, picks up 9. And Jordan Berry, once again, drug test him, 56-yard punt. But I don't know how you'd feel. If you're trying to win this game, you don't necessarily want to go for it on 4th and 1 at your own 34, even with Cody Parkey as the opposing field goal kicker. And it's amazing. We were talking about the special teams because Matthew Wright did end up playing, and he hit 2 big field goals in this game, long field goals, I should say. And Cody Parkey, not so much of having any effect whatsoever, but if it came down to it, I wouldn't feel so confident if I were a Cleveland fan there. So halftime, Brian, let me see, 10-6. Yes, Browns get the ball to start. Eventually, the Steelers defense forces a punt out of this, and now you're within 1 point. Mason Rudolph leads a 7-play, 52-yard drive with one Josh Dobbs incomplete short pass to Anthony McFarland in this. And it was interesting to see McFarland be successful in these certain spot situations too, which is also promising. You just can't get too stuck on... you put him on the field and then you know exactly what's going to happen, which is kind of Ray McLeod.
Yeah.
I will say the shots downfield definitely kept the Browns on their heels, and particularly they needed to take these shots, and this secondary is probably going to look very similar. We still, at this time of the recording, we don't know if it's a Saturday or Sunday game. There's a triple header on both days, and that may factor into who is on COVID lists and who's not. But if they're missing Denzel Ward and his backup, Kevin Johnson, and perhaps, what did I say, Sendejo was out, and, they're going to be playing with like MJ Stewart or Terrence Mitchell. These guys are very suspect, and I think Ben would have a field day with them, just like the first game where he pump faked them out of their shoes practically on the one deep pass ball. A lot of people have short memories. Ben can do a lot of these things too, and I think you're going to see a fresh Ben Roethlisberger, hopefully not a rusty Ben Roethlisberger. In fact, what I thought we were going to see here with Mason Rudolph was a case of a backup quarterback who doesn't have the timing and rhythm down with the other players that are on the squad, which is often the case. Guys, this is the famous thing with Tommy Maddox, because Tommy Maddox came back after losing his job due to injury to Ben. He comes back in for Ben, and he had no rapport with any of the receivers anymore. And that's pretty much how he fell out of favor in Pittsburgh. And, if you're going to put Mason somewhere, I think somebody said it properly. You know how much I love Landry Jones, but I put Mason above Landry Jones. He doesn't give me the deer in headlights look for the most part. I think he looks the part. I think his balls are more accurate. I think a lot of his decisions, or at least he puts the ball where his guy can make the play rather than an easy pick in the center of the field. That was always Landry's kind of bugaboo. And Charlie Batch, I know a lot of people love Charlie Batch, a Pittsburgh guy through and through. Not much of a passer there either. Just look up the stats, look at some of the games. A lot of great Steelers defenses, a lot of Jeff Reed or Sean Sweejum field goals and things of that nature. He has a couple of wins under his belt that are tremendous wins, including winning on the road in Baltimore when they needed it big time. And me having the flu, watching at home, covered in a bunch of blankets, throwing them all off at the end of that game. I'll never forget that. But I kind of liked how somebody said Mason right now is at a Tommy Maddox level, and I think that's kind of a fair comparison. He's definitely not in the he who shall not be named category.
No.
If you're going to compare him against past quarterbacks, and we're not saying he's Ben Roethlisberger by any means, but some of these balls had some zip. Some of these balls were right where, just fingertip length, maybe didn't connect with guys, and that type of stuff's going to happen. And then there were other ones where he absolutely just dropped it right in the basket there. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, the Chase Claypool touchdown. Just a lot of good stuff that happened here. The stuff that didn't happen that was good, though, was the defense does end up, after it gets to 10-9, they give up an 8-play, 76-yard drive. Baker Mayfield connecting at the tail end there with Austin Hooper. And there was some Charles Davis talked about Nick Chubb getting those extra 2 yards when he should have been stopped in the backfield. And that may have been another one of the missed or phantom holding, or they call it holding, I think. Is that the name for it?
That is the name. That's
the proper term. I had forgot. I think they do this at other levels of football, like college or high school. I don't know why the pros
in most
have
other games.
Canadian football.
In any game where the color scheme isn't matching this, I've seen those calls be made.
Maybe not with Iowa.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't watch. Yeah. I don't watch. Tina watches Iowa. I don't watch.
Tina can watch as much Iowa as she was. She's happy though. Iowa State, man, not too bad. Getting the job done. Sure. So I-O. Yeah, all right. Got to throw that in there. Hey, folks, I know you want Trey Sermon. Give it a little bit of a breather here. He hasn't played enough. Justin Fields is not coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers either. So please, if he drops down to like 20, pick 24 or something, I think it might be a crime.
Then okay.
Then okay. I might take a stab at it. Talking about deep balls that surprised me. Woof. Talking, of course, about the semifinal college football playoff game with Ohio State and Clemson and the professor, Zach Meckler. Sorry for your loss. Anyways, he's a Clemson guy. He won't be listening to this. He only listens to his own voice, I think. So, yeah, you have let me see. I'm trying to see if I can remember what else happened on this drive. Oh, the Baker Mayfield scramble left end for 28 yards where I was screaming at the television. I think that's the one where Mondale or Bugs, it was one of the other guys, pretty much the defensive tackle dotting the I there that was just – may as well done a jersey exchange or swap right there on the field, and that's how he was able to squeak out for all of those yards. And that was just after converting a 3rd and 5 to David Njoku. Suddenly found his hands. I didn't even know he had any. So 17-9, Steelers offense, an eligible man downfield, J.C. Hassenauer. How does that even happen? When the play was like a second and a half and Mason saw it was busted up and threw it into the ground. And then he was lobbying that it wasn't intentional grounding, I think, and Jerome Bogart.
Yeah, that's what and he was right. It wasn't.
But. Yeah, it's something completely different. Benny Snell, right tackle, 1 yard on 2nd and 10. And then, of course, that penalty was declined. So they just went to 2nd down. And then this was the Mason Rudolph pass on 3rd and 9. He's trying to find Juju, who's ever the more reliable, and gets cracked right in the middle. He had guys just breathing down his neck, and then he got 2 hands straight down, like pretty much about as violent of a blow that you could take as a quarterback that we see guys. The one guy, he's in Tampa. His name rhymes with lady, and he wears a skirt. And if he would have been hit like this, it would have been flags from everyone on the officiating crew.
Everybody.
They don't even have a guy in the booth. I want a sky judge, Brian. They would have found a flag from there, too, for him. It would have come off of that camera thing that they use that's awful, the sky cam thing. Anyways, there's the interception for you. I don't want to make a whole lot of excuses. It's a forced throw. That's the kind of thing that's going to happen. But had the Zebras did their job, that play would have not counted, and perhaps this game would have been
a first down.
Yeah, would have had a first down. They would have moved this 15 yards from the Steelers 42. They would have gotten across midfield there, and maybe even been in a position to at least maybe kick a field goal. You don't know. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, if this and that. And instead, Cleveland gets the ball. They have it on the Steelers 20, and a few plays later, you end up with, Kadero Hodge gets a 15-yard reception right there on the doorstep. Jarvis Landry on a nice little play call that I liked. The running play, pretty much a jet sweep of their own for 3 yards, 24-9. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe stick a nail in it, stick a fork in it, whatever this may be. Steelers didn't feel that way. They came out gunning, man. Rudolph, 14-yard completion. Then Connor's running with purpose, 7 and 4 yards. And then Claypool for 10. Connor again. Dobbs comes in. And a little pitch play to Vance McDonald, which was interesting. And we get to see this again later in the game toward the goal line. Mason Rudolph tries for Kevin Rader, and he gets the ball knocked out by Myles Garrett. And I was like, that was your moment, man. My guy. He had a
nice special teams tackle.
Yes, he did. He had his fingers on this ball, and it's 4th and 6th, and 6 yards to go. And, they're down at the 36, Brian. And I'm like, well, this was fun while it lasted. And Mike Tomlin brings out the wheelbarrow with his cojones in him and goes for it on 4th and 6 in a game where it doesn't matter the result of this game. And
let's be fair. That's why he went for it.
Yeah, well, that might be true too. But Mason finds Deontay Johnson, who has found his hands as well.
Yep.
Big convert. And then Mason just starts throwing darts toward the end zone from almost 28 yards out, 30-some yard passes here. He goes for Claypool, who is mugged on that play. Guy got there early, was over his shoulder. Goes for James Washington. Combat catch, hand comes right through where Washington's hands are there. He doesn't get his hand in there at that precise moment. That's a catch. That's a TD for sure. And it sucks that James Washington, who we've seen do all this type of stuff in training camp, doesn't get to have the highlight film on game days. And it's not that I don't think he can do it on game days. I think it's a lack of opportunities that come his way. He got his number called there, wasn't able to do it. Mason Rudolph goes for Chase Claypool, incomplete again. No flags or anything. And you're just kind of like, okay, 4th down and 10. Let's go for it again. The wheelbarrow backs back up, and let's go right back down the field again. Well, it was a shorter pass for Claypool, the 3rd down one, because he didn't get his second foot down.
Yeah.
Which, let's rewind. Donovan Peoples-Jones, like right in the first drive of the game, you have to throw a challenge flag. One of the first two drives. Absurd. It was so obvious he was out of bounds. Like, it's 1 foot, nowhere near being
college refs. Maybe that was the problem. They're college refs, because that's the only place that catch is a catch is in college.
If they're college refs, I don't know that they're still working many games. They're definitely not bowl-capable or eligible referees. Yes. It can't be that good.
They smuggled them in. They smuggled in a college team. College group of refs for this
Canadian game. Referees, maybe.
Maybe. Is that a catch in Canada? I don't know.
Someone check that out for us. Let's find out if it is an arena, too. Maybe we go flip over the boards. It still counts if you hold on to it. Arena even still around? Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
Claypool, 28 yards with a guy hanging on his it was like Yoda on Luke Skywalker training as a Jedi. This was the most ridiculous. This goes back to Martavis Bryant in Cincinnati with the somersault catch in my mind. I didn't think he got it. I thought it was a turnover on downs. I was proven wrong. And I'm like, have a day, kid, have a day. Mason Rudolph, have a day. Chase Claypool, have a day. Extra points, good. That was 13 plays, 75 yards. And we still have a ball game, 24-16. It's not unfathomable here, separated by 8 points. It sucks that interception happened because I felt maybe they could come back. The defense doesn't get it back to them right away, but Mike Tomlin with a good timeout usage, and it ends up somewhere in here thinking that they're going to get the ball back at some point, and I thought it was a pretty good one. They did one in the first half the same way too, but Steelers get the ball, 3:37 left, and now they're already the 3rd and 10 off of 2 incomplete passes, but he finds Juju again for 13 yards. Kevin Dotson had a false start. Now you're like, well, they're going to start beating themselves again. And then the deep ball to Deontay Johnson, 47 yards, 6 yards right up almost the gut from the Cleveland 10 by Anthony McFarland. They run that play, the running play, which would have kept the clock running, but it's a 2-minute warning now. Clock stops. Let's bring Josh Dobbs out. Didn't hate this on the 2nd and 4. I thought maybe a little bit different of a wrinkle. Hard to do these things. There's not a whole lot of space down there with the red zone defense, but flips the ball over to Vance McDonald for 2 yards. And then Mason finds Juju on just the strike that he needed to. Juju is just a clutch possession type. He has turned into a possession type guy. They were talking about 100 yards, but maybe not, or 100 catches, but not 1,000 yards, for the season. What is his final numbers? I'm going to have to look it up now. On this game, he had 6 catches for 65 yards. I'll have to see where he is for the season. But right down to the 2, now they get a 2-point conversion try, Brian. And did you see what I thought I saw there? It was like a Yoda, a baby Yoda, and if you were like my kid on Christmas, several baby Yodas were brought by Santa, because you need the animatronic, then you need the one that you could play with that's just soft and beat up and drop an elbow on wrestling style and everything else. So that's what it looked like. Claypool, like it looked like one of these Army Rangers. You ever see what was the name of that movie? It wasn't like Hamburger Hill or whatever, but the guys with the giant backpacks that go, and am I right, or am I just complaining here for the sake of I wanted the Steelers to tie this game and almost win it? Just for the sake of I hate Cleveland.
Both things can be true.
Oh, okay.
You are right, and you're just complaining because you wanted them to tie. But
excellent.
Yes, I mean, as apparently as much as holding is a mythical concept, so is PI. At least in this game, it only is going to be called against the Steelers, never for them anymore. Maybe because I don't know who was it. There was some fan set that told us the Steelers get all the calls. I don't remember. Maybe it was the Ravens group. The Steelers get all the calls. Refs help them win every game. Well, they didn't help them win this one.
no, they not at all, and they could have used any of these. Really, would have been a game changer.
Call one of them. Call one of them.
We've talked about the gifts before. You get some here or there. I didn't think they necessarily lost them. I just think that they were like, well, we're not working the playoffs. We just want to get home. We don't like Cleveland. Yeah. This whole city sucks. It smells. There's like an odor here coming off the lake.
They were exactly like me, as that story I told you when I first got up there with the job interview. And I got the job, and I went, yeah, I don't think so. I got to get the hell out of here. That's exactly they were. They got there. They went, we can't stay here. No penalties will be called during this game unless it's so blatant that we have no choice. And even then, I might tell you not to call it.
What was I looking at? 97 catches on this season for Juju. Misses it just by 3. No 1,000-yard receivers here for the Steelers. You're going to have, I think, Deontay crosses just enough here with 96 today on 3 catches to be in the 900-ish realm. You got a handful of guys. Claypool as well will be over 800 yards as Johnson and Juju are, and over 60 catches for a few of them. You got a couple of guys with a number of multiple touchdowns as well. I think the Steelers are going to be without Joe Hayden and Eric Ebron, depending on when this game's played.
When it's played, yeah.
And the same could be said for the Cleveland Browns, who had a bunch of guys come back. They didn't get the practice. I get some of that. I don't know how much the game plans change depending on which team you are, because to me it looked like the Steelers pulled out all kinds of stuff. And I think it's promising that the offense with Mason Rudolph, with J.C. Hassenauer, splitting time with the running backs, not the full complement of everyone. No Ebron to throw the ball to, who's been an integral part of the offense this season. I think it's promising that they were able to move the ball and not completely stink out the joint as we had seen during the losing skid. And particularly, you usually use this and apply it, Brian, towards the next opponent. Well, it's the same opponent. And in this case, the Steelers are going to look different, a lot more different, and should be rested before heading to Cleveland. So just rewind and play the other pregame from next week. We won't be back to this. No, I'm just kidding. We'll still have things to say.
Remember, they're not heading to Cleveland. Cleveland's heading to Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah. I meant go back and listen to last week's podcast. You can just replay it, and it's all the same stuff. But
it is sort of all the same stuff. The thing that worries, that if you want to have a poison pill, right? If you want to have something to worry about the fact of potentially the team feeling a little maybe overconfident in the sense that they think they can roll this team.
I was thinking that if they had won, it was probably better that they didn't on account of that.
Yeah, but even then, they barely lost. With all these people out, you don't want them to be. And I don't anticipate them. Look, these are professional guys, and they haven't been in the playoffs in 3 years. This is something. The last thing they want to do is lay an egg against the Browns. Because that's the last thing any of us want. But if you want to be worried, maybe be worried that this was not a blowout, and that the Browns didn't just roll over them, and that the Steelers go through this week thinking, we got this. I don't want them to think that. I want them to be angry and hungry. I want them to watch the tape and see how badly the refs screwed them, and I want them to come out with an Ohio State attitude. That's what I want. I want that attitude in this next game. That Clemson, you know what? I hate these guys, and I'm just going to win. That's what I want.
You know what? You just reminded me, and there was something that was missed by this right after this 2-point conversion attempt. The onside kick by Matthew Wright that goes through Carlson's legs. And Jordan Dangerfield, if not piled on by Rader and maybe Marcus Allen or somebody else there, may have come up with this, but that ball was loose. And that was mind-blowing. That would have been the most Cleveland thing ever. Brian, if we could have went back to last week and it was still 2020, that would have been the Steelers' ball.
Oh, yeah.
But since we aren't in 2020, I was thinking maybe still since it's a 2020 season, but that would have been the most Cleveland Browns thing ever to have that happen and then perhaps lose by a guy whose college long was like 46 yards or whatever, kicking a game-winning field goal. But the Cleveland resumes with a minute 22 left. Nick Chubb goes 8 yards on 1st and 10, right as Vince Williams is tackled by an offensive player. I was confused about this. I thought the only defensive players were allowed to tackle. That's that word you just taught me earlier.
Thing.
The thing.
That's that thing that doesn't exist, holding.
Bowling. Holding, that's what it was. Silly me. I can never remember these things. So if they let that type of stuff, you know what's going to happen. I've been beating the drum on this for about a month now. You're going to get to the postseason, the referees are going to call this entirely different now. And it's going to be frustrating. There's going to be pass interference. There's going to be holds. There's going to be 20 flags a game. And it's going to be Tony Corrente or Clete Blakeman coming out for this first game with the rematch between the Steelers and the Browns. Tony, I need to put my reading glasses on in order to see the instant replay monitor. Jesse didn't catch it. Corrente. That's who you're going to end up with. And Clete.
Let's hope not.
And Clete, let me take 10 minutes to huddle and try and figure out what's going on at any point in any game. They huddled for that Donovan Peoples-Jones catch
and still got it wrong.
And well, he got it. He held the ball, and it's like, yeah, but he was out of bounds. Which one of you? Which one of you were looking here, and which one of you were looking down here? One of you have to have one, and one of you has to have the other. You can't just both be which way did he go? It just
I don't know.
Well, he caught the ball. Okay, let's just give it to the offense. You know. I wonder, like, is there any protocol thought to it? Is it, well, it's the home team, give them the call? That obviously that can't be correct. Is it the offense? Error in favor of the offense or error inside of the defense? It seems like error in
How
favor.
about just look at what happened and get it right?
How about Mike Tomlin not losing a challenge?
Hey, there you go. He has not lost a challenge this year.
Hey, I like it. So, anyways, that's the way this game closes out with Baker Mayfield getting a little run around 3 yards there. And I was a little particularly upset. One call out here on Chris Wormley, who I thought could have got a better job of getting off his block, and he could have maybe got his hand out or slowed that down or stopped it to some degree. But it is what it is. The Steelers had pulled quite a few. They had James Pierre out there, so Steven Nelson was off the field. Quite a few other guys were off the field where they could in those cases. And that's it. They got to rest some players. They lose a game. It's probably the most excited or the happiest I can be in a loss. I certainly didn't care for the rest of them that happened this year. So no. I'm not too down. I didn't feel entitled to it like some of the people that said, fire Tomlin, doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, he's playing like two backup quarterbacks and sitting a bunch of, he's sitting, I don't even want to say Pro Bowl. Now we know Marquise Pouncey is probably a legacy pick, but you're talking about maybe a potential. I know Alex Smith's going to get this, so I don't want to get flamed in the comments, but potential comeback player of the year, Ben Roethlisberger, defensive player of the year, maybe man of the NFL award or whatever. You got to give him something. He is visiting us from another planet.
Yes.
TJ Watt. And who else am I missing here? And
the grown-ass man, the OG, right. GAM.
That's
Mr.
right.
Cameron Hayward.
That's right. It's just it's exhausting, man. It's exhausting. But let me rattle off a couple more stats, and then we're going to let everyone.
I have to give one GAM award.
Go for
Only
one.
one.
Go ahead.
Alex Highsmith deserves a GAM award. I tell you what. I mean, I've been tooting his horn all year. I've been on the Alex Highsmith. What is it called? A Hive bandwagon. Liddy group. I don't know what the hell these weird phrases that Zaccadonia uses are. I don't get them. But anyway, in the first half, he did a great job against the run. He looked a little bit like he was getting overwhelmed on some of the pass plays, but he stepped up the game. He had one sack for sure. Could have had a second. Could have even had a third. But he played a good game. I was very impressed. That's some good. Now, I want to slow the roll on some people out there, though, who say, they've definitely got their starting outside linebacker for next year. No, Bud, no matter what. Bud, I know it won't happen. I don't care. Bud But
wait, we don't. Now Spot Track, which is one of the sites that does the salary cap stuff, has gotten rumblings that the salary cap is not going down and it's staying where it is, and that may be. We got a lot of off-season stuff. What's that?
Bud.
Yeah, there's a lot of off-season stuff to talk about, even if that is a franchise tag, just to see where Highsmith is for another year. Bud had so many strip sacks with splash plays. That's not something you easily replace, especially with a rookie player, but definitely a high motor player and a guy capable of swapping in. I don't want to get too deep into that. Mike Hilton was he was out there, but I don't know that he was utilized
sort of
a lot.
Very quiet game for Mike Hilton.
I saw a lot of linebacker zone coverage more than Mike Hilton out there in a nickel. So, and particularly, I was like, why is Highsmith covering Jarvis Landry on this play? And,
ran him down though. Ran him down.
Mm-hmm. He did. Fast guy. When you're young, man, you got legs, and when you're older, not so much. So 4 sacks by the Steelers. Did they break the record?
There's 73.
Or was they at 57?
I don't know. Oh, you mean for the year?
Yeah.
No, total number? I don't know. I don't remember.
Or was it just the straight 57, which was a tie? I think it may have been the tie. Some other numbers. Mason Rudolph, I had already mentioned, 22 for 39, 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 8.1 yards per attempt. Double asterisks here by Chris Adamski from the Trib. The asterisk there is better than any game from Ben Roethlisberger this season. That's an eye-opener. Let's keep it going. Passing plays of 40-plus yards this season. Ben Roethlisberger in 15 starts has 4 such plays of 40-plus yards. Mason Rudolph in 1 start just today has 1 fewer with 3. Man, okay, so do we need to uncork the offense, or is it a difference of quarterbacks? I was promised, this was promising enough for me. I hear all of the Sam Darnold or draft this guy. There's guys that people are saying to draft. The kid out of Cincinnati, he's going to be like a 6th or 7th round pick if he gets drafted. I mean, I know a lot of quarterbacks get picked up here or there. Maybe I'm being a little cruel. Maybe he goes to the combine, wows some people. Who knows? You know what I mean? But your top guys are like, obviously Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. Those are like top 10 picks. They're not going outside maybe the top 15 if you're lucky. There's not going to be an Aaron Rodgers sitting there where the Steelers will be picking. Everybody thinks that's the pipe dream. And the funny thing is we beat dead horse on this quarterback thing all the time, so I don't want to go too far with this. But look back to some of the first-round picks, even from Mason Rudolph's own class. You've got Josh Rosen, who flamed out. You have Paxton Lynch, who was on the Steelers practice squad, couldn't even beat out Duck Hodges for a spot, a former first-round pick when they went and took Artie Burns, and everybody said they should have took Paxton Lynch instead. This was the future after Ben is. You need to stop thinking about that. That will work itself out. I'm not going to say that Mason is the future, but he definitely showed some promise, at least to step in there, given the situation that he had and the guys he was around. It wasn't a full-strength squad. I think if he does have the full-strength squad and you have a TJ Watt who can knock the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands and get a turnover, I think it's a whole different ball game there. Maybe the Steelers aren't as aggressive. Maybe they're just trying to do some things just to see what they've got there. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Third-year player, so he's got at least 1 more year on his rookie contract. They can kick the can around, see what they do with Ben. This season's still not over, so I don't want to talk too far in advance. We got there already with the Bud Dupree thing. Some people are like, oh, he's gone. I don't know that he's gone. I don't know about Mike Hilton, Cam Sutton. I like all of these guys. The truth of the matter is, the more games they play and how deep they go, all the way to the Super Bowl and or winning it, the fewer guys are going to be able to afford. Teams get pillaged usually of their big playmakers. And I know Kansas City didn't necessarily, but they've got like 30 cents and maybe a few other coins they found in the couch for salary cap room. I know the cap's a myth. Some people have said that. It finally caught up to the Eagles. Carson Wentz is probably making like double of what Big Ben is. He's not coming to anybody on a trade, no matter how bad he may want out of his situation either. So those are the things I want to say. I don't think that the Steelers, I don't think they'll be too overconfident. I think there's a lot of encouraging things. There's a whole storyline with Rudolph and Garrett here. I think my grown-ass man is right here. Yeah, I'm homering it up as I always do for the backup quarterbacks. I like to see the young men get out there and get an opportunity. I thought he did well. I don't think his interception necessarily it costs the game. There's all these other little mitigating factors. And I think in a different situation where there's not backups and you're not playing in Cleveland and you throw that, and Ben throws that same pass to Claypool, I think flags are flying from every direction too. So I think a lot of that, I think that does factor in. The referees are just as human and these type of thought processes as well.
No,
they're not human.
No, they're not.
They're from. Are they from the same planet as TJ, or are they from Uranus?
No, they're from the planet of Stinketh.
Well, that's Uranus. So anyway,
there you go. They came from Uranus. That's right. That's where the refs are from. Is Uranus. Thank you very much.
But yeah. after what had happened to him the last time he played in Cleveland with the 4 interceptions and getting the helmet thrown, and there's pictures post game with him with Myles Garrett and stuff like that. I give him a grown ass man just for being able to come in there and not crap his pants, so to speak. I think he held up very well, and to have not played in full-time or even spot duty for that matter. He got in and handed the ball off a few times in some games this year or took a victory formation. And for not having played in a year and having the major concussion, the Myles Garrett incident, and breaking his collarbone, there you go. I think he deserves it.
I won't go there, but I won't argue with you either. Like I said, he played very well.
I did too. Got to see more. I'm not calling him the savior or the successor or the second coming, or got a whole lot of other football we got to see first. But I think that opens the door for him. No matter where he ends up, I think he'll have an opportunity somewhere for sure.
He's got a nice game on his resume.
So, and Brian, I just saw you're holding as a myth tweet out here as well.
There's only like 17 of them.
Yeah, maybe. I was just learning what this was. I had to look up what a myth was too, because I was like, oh, it means holding's fake. Well, I don't know, but whatever. I'm not too upset. We'll have some season award things and things like that to hand out, talk about, and everything like that. But let's get geared up for the playoffs, like we thought we were already going to.
Yeah, playoffs.
Yes,
that's right. We're talking playoffs.
Yeah. So, all right, my friend, any closing thoughts here?
No, I'm underwhelmed because I just, if the refs need to pick their game up, I'm afraid that you're right and they'll pick it up too much, and all of a sudden everything will be a penalty, whereas nothing was a penalty. And even if that's the case, it'll all go the wrong way and we'll get screwed. So,
am I allowed to put a bug in someone? Well, I don't know.
Yes, put a bug in anybody's ear.
A bug in anybody's ear. I'm wondering about Randy Fichtner now, because I was more concerned about him coming into this game, and I'm not sure. But behind closed doors, who has their fingerprints on what they did today?
I don't know what happened today. See, and everybody's going to go, oh, yeah, Randy called a good game. I don't know if Randy called a good game or not. All I know is it's looked bad for several weeks in a row, and we'll have to wait and see. Look, if we go to, well, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx next week. But we need to play like we played the second half against the Colts. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. He is not under contract for 2021. Steelers are the type.
I like Zach Meckler's thoughts, by the way.
Give me some credit here. I was the one that was bringing some of that up. We I'll give a joint effort on this.
Okay, I'll give you credit, but I haven't seen yours.
Well, I had mentioned, and this is where I was putting the bug in, the Los Angeles Chargers are supposedly having a meeting with their head coach, Anthony Lynn, on Monday, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony Lynn has been an OC in other places. I thought he did a tremendous job. He doesn't necessarily maybe the play caller, but I thought he handled a season of adversity with as many guys that get injured and everything there. I'm like, if they fire him, I think that's kind of criminal. I think this team is this franchise has always been too fickle. They moved the franchise from San Diego, and they moved on from Drew Brees maybe early, and Phillip Rivers they moved on from, and even Ladini and Tomlinson. Well, when they fired
Moving on from Phillip Rivers was not too early.
Well, no, their coach though. The coach.
The coaches, yes.
Some of the coaches. Back when they had like Sproles. Why can't I think of his name? The
guy from the Steelers. The guy that was in Arizona.
Well, the guy that was the dad. Well, Wesenhunt was one, but I'm talking even before that. It's what's his name's dad from the 49ers? Shanahan.
Shanahan, yeah.
No, not Shanahan. No, it's another guy. Was it Shanahan? I'm trying to think. Now I got to look this up. But they seem to always they're stupid with how they handle their franchise. I'm sorry. There's just no other way of doing this.
Some franchises are impatient. That's
Schottenheimer. Marty Schottenheimer.
Right.
Marty Schottenheimer was winning that division. They won. They had seasons. He comes in. They were 8-8, 4-12. Then they were 12-4, lose a wild card. 9-7. Then 14-12, lose a division. And they get ousted, and then Turner comes in there for a little while, and then he has a little success out the gate with some of the Norv Turner comes in. 2 seasons he's decent, and then takes the whole thing into the crapper. They had what's his name, Mike McCoy there too, and then Anthony Lynn. This is 4 years for Lynn. He's been 9-7, 12-4. Last year he was 5-11. And, they got rid of some of those players there, and then they still had some injuries, and they draft Justin Herbert to be the future, but they're looking to maybe move on from a coach. And I'm like, oh, really? And I just thought this is the thing I want to put out there, and I just want to put it on record, just something to contemplate. The Steelers have brought in former head coaches as position or coordinators before. Mike Munchak, Todd Haley, Anthony Lynn is a potential OC candidate. I'll bend my ear for that one. That could be interesting. So we'll see. I know Matt Canada's there. I know he's a QB coach, but he's in the system for a year. Okay. Are they going to promote him after 1 year in the system, immediately move him up? That depends on the success of today. We don't know what happened behind closed doors, so it'll be fun.
I don't know.
I'm getting ahead of the storylines, my friend. That's all I'm saying. It'll be fun. So, hey, thanks for joining me once again. We're up against it. Happy New Year to you and everyone that's listening or watching out there.
Yep, I second that sentiment.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who are listening or viewing, and somebody had asked something about supporting the site, we have a little PayPal donate button at the bottom of our website at steelcityunderground.com. You can go there to support us. You can always support us by liking, comment, or subscribing. And, of course, if you've made it this far, you either have a lot of patience for our banter, our witty banter, you really like us, or you took our advice and you were safe during these holidays. So, as we always close this out.
Can I throw a completely unapologetic plug in?
Sure, why not?
All right, because I'm doing this 25 push-ups a day challenge for the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
So if any of you feel like it, go find me on Facebook, find my donations page, and you can donate to my 25 push-ups challenge. And so far, day 2, it's really not that hard.
Put it on Twitter, Brian. Use the Twitter
I did.
too.
I put it out on Twitter.
Well,
I did put it on Twitter.
Well, Facebook's a little more private than public. That's what I just said.
Facebook has the fundraiser thing though, so that's why that's the only place you can go to get to the fundraiser.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I did tweet it, and I will continue to tweet it. But it's pretty easy. You might have to challenge me to do 50 or 150. I was doing 1,200 a day in the summer, so
1,200 a day.
Not a week. 2 hours. I would do 2 hours. I'd do about 1,200.
But not like in a row. You're not trying to get in the Guinness World Book of Records.
I could do. I think the max I could do in a row was like 72 or
something. Oh, so you didn't end up doing 1,200, or you're just saying 72 in a row?
72 in a row, but I did 1,200 in sets of like 25 or 30.
Ah, okay. So
I would for 2 hours. I would do push-ups in sets of 25 or 30, and I'd get to 1,200.
Okay. Well, I got a goal for you too, buddy. The Guinness World Record was broken in October 1980. It was originally held by somebody named Henry C., who had done 7,650. Is now held for nonstop push-ups, no break.
Yeah,
now held by Minoru Yoshida of Japan with 10,507. So
I can't do 10,507 without stopping. No,
you probably couldn't do it without sleep.
Probably not. Yes.
I got to wonder how long it took to accomplish that. But 53 push-ups in 30 seconds is another one, too. Push-ups in a minute is 152. There is like some other record. There's also 199, but that's, I guess, a controversial thing. So we will just leave it at that. Thanks for joining me once again. His name's Brian. My name's Joe. We appreciate all of you. Happy New Year. Go Steelers. Screw you, Cleveland. Yours is coming. You may have won the battle, but you're not going to win the war. We'll see you this upcoming weekend. For everyone out there, thanks once again. We encourage you to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.